trying to come up with ideas of how we can raise money for the University of Alabama's football program in the NIL era of college sports. And I'm thinking car wash. What say you? Let's tighten up. Okay, don't get me wrong here. I have always stood for the player, and I've always said that these guys are giving everything that they've got out on well, not just on the field, but even off the field. I've always, in my mind, believed that these guys deserve something. Now, back in the day, if a school offered any player anything, well, they got investigated, they got sanctioned, and a lot of the times they got put on probation. That was, I didn't agree with that. I think that these guys that are playing in college sports, they need something because they're out there. A lot of kids who go to college can also go get, or let me reverse that. A lot of kids in college playing sports, or who are not playing sports, I should say, um, they can go get a job. I mean, yeah, it won't be much because you in college, specifically when you're going to a big university, um, you've got a lot on your plate to begin with. Never mind that if you try to go get a job on top of that. However, non-athletic students do have the capability, or did have the capability, still do, to go get a job to compensate and to help out with expenses and whatnot. Whereas the athlete, the NCAA athlete, for so many years couldn't do that. Or, like I said, the program would be sanctioned and handed down all kinds of penalties or fines and possibly suspensions and whatnot. And I've always said that I really think that these guys who are out there doing this, and they're providing a source of entertainment for us, and we're coming and we're spending the amount of money that we're spending to view said entertainment, and these guys are not getting any of it. Well, I did not agree with that. I mean, honestly, that is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. However, when NIL happened some 6 or 7 years ago, whatever it was, 2019, I want to say, is when it really, 2019, 20 is when it really kicked off, I should say. When the NIL came along, well, the pendulum swung, it swinged. It swung from them not being able to have anything to all the way to the other side, where now we've got guys coming in who are straight up asking for millions. They want to come to your school and play. Well, they want millions. So what does that do? Well, from what I have seen, from what I have watched happen in the world of college sports, and I now understand why Nick Saban said what he said when he said that he and Miss Terry got out of it because of the direction that it was heading and what he saw coming down the pike. I fully get it. You have athletes coming in that a large majority, not all, okay, not all, but a large majority of these athletes coming in, they're asking for exorbitant amounts of money right up front. If I'm an athlete in high school and I'm anywhere from a 3 to a 5-star athlete, and your school is coming after me, then I've got quote-unquote representation, which is a whole other video in itself. But my representation and me are now telling you, Okay, well, I'll come play for your school, but this is what I want. And then we got to go to benefactors or working through, companies who are going to give money to give these ridiculous amounts of money. I mean, I remember when, one and a half, 1 million, 1 million. Okay. These guys were at, okay, I want $1 million to come play. And now, as of last season, we saw schools going after guys and telling these quarterbacks, I think a couple of them, they were quarterbacks, what have you. We'll offer you, even I think Ty Simpson was offered like $6.5 million to come and play one season at a university. So what does that do to the sport? Well, honestly, from what I have seen, what it's done to the sport is you have guys. Let's go back, okay? Let's go back to the era before NIL hit. You had programs that were really, really good and great programs, specifically the University of Alabama. And I'm not just speaking as a fan here. I'm speaking from a viewpoint of looking and seeing what the University of Alabama overall has done and what coaches, specifically Nick Saban wasn't just about winning national titles. He was about bringing in an individual who he saw talent in, taking that individual and molding them into something that would go on to future greatness. The man had a knack for doing that. And as long as a player would come in and agree to abide by his rules and everything that he taught, Nick would promise them, if you wait, if you give me what I need from you, I will get you to this point. So the player would come in and agree that, okay, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to work really hard on my education. And then I'm going to play football for a team that is really good and has the potential to really pay off for me in my future. Okay? So what we had then is we had guys coming in that they had something to prove. They had to prove that they could do this, and by proving themselves would lead to the next step, which led to the next step, which led to an NFL contract, which led to the millions of dollars. If that was that player's end goal. If that player's end goal was, I want to play in the NFL and make bukudos of money, okay, here's how we get you there. And so when a player came in, the only thing that they had to look forward to was that end goal. And that's what they had to build towards. And that is how Nick Saban, that was what he was so not just good at, but great at looking at and saying, we're going to take this guy, we're going to mold him and shape him into the good that they are now, and we're going to make them great so that they can go on. And if that's their goal, if they want to get out there and they want to hit the NFL and make millions of dollars, then by golly, we're going to make it so that they can do that. Now we have guys coming out of high school that just because they've got a few stars by their name, they're telling the universities, this is what I want. So the pendulum has swung the other direction, and now we don't have coaches saying, if you come play for me, I will do this for you. Now we got players saying, if you pay this to me, I will come and do this for you. And it all depends on who can pay the most to make that happen. And now, players, and not all, okay? Understand, I am not pointing finger at every single guy playing football in the NCAA or any athlete in the NCAA overall for that matter. What I am talking about is if you've really paid attention over the last 5, 6, 7 years, you have seen a swing, a massive swing, where players used to come in, they would battle for position, they would try to prove themselves, they would, if they didn't make that, if they didn't make that position, they would sit and they would watch, they would learn, they would wait, and their next time up, they would prove themselves until they got to that point, working within the system. Well, now we've got guys coming in, and right off the bat, they're being paid millions of dollars. So do you think that they care that much? Do you think that they honestly and truly give a rip about what they can do for the university or the people who pay exorbitant amounts of money to come and watch said entertainment? No. Now we have those guys, and the thought process is, now, why would I want to get out of college? Because now that same person who may have come in under somebody like Nick Saban and really worked and worked and worked and worked and got to a point where they were excellent in their craft and they could go on to the next level. Now we got guys coming in with stars by their names. They're being paid ridiculous amounts of money, and instead of proving themselves, they dance around, they do whatever they want, they namby-pamby and whine about it. And if I'm not so good, if I'm not good enough that I can get to the NFL and make my millions there, well, I've already made them here in college, so what does it matter anyway? I'm just going to sue the NCAA so I can stay in college for 15 years, make my millions here, and I'm done. I'm out. See ya. That, if you haven't noticed, is what frustrates me to no end. And I know this is a Alabama podcast, but right now, I mean, Alabama is in the NCAA, which in my view is falling to pieces. There is really no one at the top who is able to make regulations to say, okay, yes, no, definitely not. And that's why we see people pushing. Okay, well, let's get somebody, Nick Saban, for example, in there, because he is so good at what he has done throughout his lifetime in college football. Why don't we get a Nick Saban in there at the top to regulate, to help put, and let's figure this out. I mean, so we cannot go from one end of the spectrum where guys are being beat to death, and it's all they can do to get through 4 years of college, sometimes 5 years of college, to make it to the pro level, where not everybody makes it. So you have athletes that were good, it's just the NFL didn't see them that way, and they leave that and they go on to other fields of work. But we have to figure this out. We have absolutely got to figure this out, because, and then you look at a school like the University of Alabama, and everything that Alabama is, 18 national titles. And yeah, I'm going to say 18, even though the NCAA only recognizes 16. But 18 national titles. You look at everything that has ever been the University of Alabama, and yes, we have many great alumni. Somehow, and the boosters, but somehow we are falling short in the NIL game. It's just really falling behind. There are so many different questions that I know that I have as to what in the world is the future going to look like. Not just for the University of Alabama, the future of college sports overall. Something has got to give. I understand and I wholeheartedly agree that these people and specifically talking about men's football program, have to be compensated in some way. It has to happen. But to take it to the level that it just got to over the last handful of years, to where we're and now we can't even come up with, the University of Alabama is having a hard time coming up with the amount of money needed to compete with the NIL. So I did a little bit of research. As to how in the world could, in today's market, in the NIL world of college football today, how could Alabama put together a team like that of 2009, 2012? Let's just use them as an example. I don't know how in the world. I mean, there are ways that it could happen. But in today's world of NIL, the amount of talent that Alabama had in 09 and 12 was ridiculous. So to be able to put together the kind of team to compete with that, for Coach DeBoer to be able to do that in today's NIL level, we're talking about things like back then with elite offense and defensive lines, number one. And we have seen, well, we only had a couple of people that didn't leave after last season from our O-line. So I believe he's already started working in that. We have to have veteran leadership. There's no question about that. Alabama has got to have veterans in there who are willing to stick in and say, okay, guys, this is how it works. And it's going to take in all reality, it takes 2, 3, sometimes even 4 years of player development to get a player to that spot. And as we touched on, a lot of these players, they don't want that. They want to come in and either play, or else I'm going somewhere else. You have to have the kind of depth that overwhelms opponents. You've got to win in the trenches, first and foremost. You know, in what I was researching, what I found, the bottom line, it's going to take a top 3 recruiting class, okay? Alabama, I believe, has done that this offseason, the 26 offseason. They brought in some guys that, through the portal, through high school recruiting, they were ranked number 2, number 3, so they are in the top 3 as far as the recruiting class. Now, here's where it may drop off. In today's world, you have to be top 5 in the NIL collective. That one hurts us, because even with all that Alabama is, the University of Alabama in all of her glory, cannot muster up the NIL needed, the funding to go towards NIL. Now, there's other avenues of money that, can be used, whether it's profit sharing or but just speaking straight, NIL, well, that's a problem. And I don't see the University of Alabama being in the top 5 of the NIL collective. So that one might hurt us. Um, as was said, we have to have the veteran O-line and D-line continuity. We have to have guys there that are going to be there. And there has to be an understanding at each position of what is expected of each position. But I think we're building toward that. And with the hires of Adrian Clem that Coach DeBoer just brought in, and the other tight end coach whose name is just slipping me at the moment, my apologies. I believe that that's what's going to happen. I believe that in our O-line and D-line, I'm actually excited to see what this spring practices are going to start looking like the further we get into it. A 2-year starting quarterback. Well, that one we don't have. Do I think that that's going to hurt us? I want to say no. I want to say that I am really, which I have said, and I believe, and I am excited in both Mac and Russell. Now, it is definitely going to be a shootout this spring to see which one of these guys coming out of the gate is going to be steps ahead of the other one. But for the one that does not get that calling as the starting quarterback, will he stay? That is going to be the linchpin. If it is Mac that starts, will Russell hang about, be the backup, and study and learn? Or will he get anxious? Will somebody get in his ear? Will other schools come in and offer him enough money that he jumps ship? It's going to be interesting. Or vice versa. I mean, we could either way. If Russell becomes the starter, is Mac going to be willing to wait again? So that one may come and bite us. But I know we got some really good recruits coming in the quarterback positions. And see, this is what it all is turning back around to. And what really is just super honestly annoying in my eyes is the fact that we went from guys who were willing to come in, follow along with the program, and build themselves, work on themselves, and get to the point where they were interesting to the NFL. Instead, now we've got it where these guys are coming in and it's, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. You know, my mom wants a house and box seats. You give me that and I'll come play for you. I don't know. I mean, I just, it frustrates me to no end. And I'm hoping that someone will get in the top at the very top. Maybe Nick will. Maybe Saban. Maybe he'll get in there, take the reins, and say, "Okay, let's figure this thing out because it's heading off the cliff. Give it not much longer. It's heading off cliff." And see what we can do. So anyway, those are my thoughts, my ramblings, as it were. Thank you so much for watching. I want to ask if you enjoyed this, if you wouldn't mind to hit the like button and subscribe. It really, really means the world. This is something, again, I said last video, it's something that's, I'm just getting started in the whole YouTube thing. It's taken me a little bit to get my wheels really turning. But I want to put out really good quality stuff. I don't want to just be, run of the mill. I don't want to be, I really, and Alabama football is something that's been special to me since the time I was born. I came out of the womb yelling "Roll Tide," or maybe it was my dad yelling "Roll Tide," and I just remember. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like I said before, I'm working on something right now that I'm very excited about that I hope to have the first episode up within the next week. Um, Thank you so much. Again, hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Roll Tide.